potential.
Now, the First Coast's most accurate forecast from the First Coast News Weather Team, certified by Weather Rate, sponsored by AC Designs.
Good afternoon, folks. Here it comes, the 38th annual Clay County Fair. I can't believe it. I remember when the station sent me out there for the very first Clay County Fair. The fairgrounds had just opened up. For those of you that are new to the area, the fairgrounds, of course, in Clay County, west of Green Cove Springs. So get yourself to Green Cove Springs and basically head west. For most of us, that would be heading probably either down Highway 17, or if you're coming from Eastern Duval or St. John's or Flagler or Nassau County, maybe you come down 95 and then cross the river. Anyhow, here it comes, 38th annual. And in a bit, we're going to hear from Ross Muma. Our very own meteorologist, Ross Muma, is down there. He's going to be live. He's actually arriving right now. And we're going to talk about the Clay County Fair and a few other things too. So we're having some fun right now. But unfortunately, the forecast of a generational catastrophic event, unfortunately, is unfolding for our friends in the Arklatex of Tennessee. We'll talk about that in a moment. But if you like warm weather versus cooler weather, I'd go one of the first 4 days. And maybe I should say hot weather. This is record heat, folks. Now, the good news is if you're taking your loved ones, maybe taking your kids, you don't have to worry about thunderstorms, at least not through daytime Sunday. If you'd rather have cooler weather, much cooler weather is arriving by late Monday into Tuesday for days. So if you want the cooler weather, wait till after that. That's because of the front. That front, unfortunately, right now, though, is what's causing that generational and catastrophic weather. And we're talking. There's going to be another major tornadic event today and tonight and tomorrow and Saturday. In addition, and what might possibly become even worse than the tornadic event, is going to be the accumulative flooding. Already flash flooding going on. And it looks like, and the computer models have been pretty specific about this, that some of the same spots, think within about 100 miles of Little Rock, Memphis, Paducah, heading up toward Nashville, toward Louisville. Some of those areas could receive 10, 15, 20 inches of rain. So the flooding video we're showing right now, that's just the beginning. Unfortunately, there looks like there's going to be much more to come. And the flash flooding, which of course tends to happen with the creeks, all of that will be flowing into the Ohio and to the Mississippi. It's going to be really interesting to see how eventually the Mississippi Valley is as well. Now that front is heading our way. It's going to be much weaker by the time it makes it to the First Coast. But certainly our thoughts are with those who have already been hit by this event and this event that is going to continue. If you have some loved ones flying through those areas, traveling through those areas, plan on some pretty significant delays, especially airports like Memphis, Little Rock, Texarkana, occasionally off and on Nashville, Louisville. St. Louis is going to be sort of on the northern fringes of that. And we will keep you updated on what's happening there. Let's come back home now, and we'll expand the picture beyond the Clay County Fair. As I mentioned, after a while, we're going to hear from Ross Muma. He took off and is arriving there now, getting the technological gear set up. But for now, let's take a look at the big picture. So this is, we can really call it the first wave. There's Ross. Hey, Ross, we want to say hi to you, and we'll come back to the map. So there is Ross. He is at the fair. Can you hear me, Ross?
I can, Tim. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You sound solid. Now, we've already talked about the weather, which is going to be warm to hot. But since you're there, can you verify, is it warm or is it hot?
Well, I think maybe by Floridian and Georgian standards, it's warm. But for a Pennsylvania boy from up north, I'm going to consider this kind of hot. Now, I will say, it doesn't feel nearly as hot as it did yesterday. I'm also just standing here for the time being. So because we're not moving, I'm not working up a sweat just yet, Tim. But no, I think once we get running around the fair here a little bit later, it'll start to feel just a little bit toasty.
Well, Ross, first of all, I can tell you the shot looks great. So that part of the transmission is working well. I can see the Ferris wheel. I can see the, what's the word for that? where the horses go around? The merry-go-round.
Oh, like the carousel?
The carousel. There you go.
Oh, okay,
there
yeah.
You go.
There you go.
I can't quite smell the food. I suspect at some point you'll both be hydrated, but you're also going to let us know how the caloric taste is out there.
Well, see, the wind is kind of coming in my face and blowing toward the fair, so unfortunately all the wonderful smells of the fair food are kind of going in the opposite direction. Although I did just kind of get a swirl around, so now it's coming from the other direction. So if you wafted a little bit, you might be able to smell some of those corn dogs, the funnel cakes, some cotton candy even maybe, Tim. Are you a hot sausage guy? I know you're a big double dog guy over at the baseball field. So.
Yeah, for fairs, I like to go all the way. Now this, when I first came there 38 years ago, the sod was not quite set for parking, and I remember that was quite an issue. But it looks like parking is great. It looks like that grass is nice and solid and in good shape.
Hey, well, you get a little bit of rain and then you get plenty of sunshine and some warmer temperatures. The grass just springs to life out here, so I'm sure they've had the mowers out the last several days, kind of getting a nice carpet for all the cars that are expected to come out here to the fair over the next couple of days into the weekend and then throughout all next week, Tim. So we're excited for it out here.
Yeah, it looks good. Okay, let's get to work. We're going to show folks some weather. First, the national perspective. We've already showed them the serious side of that major front. And then we're going to bring it on home. So folks, here is the front. There you see it lined up from about Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, back where Ross came out of diapers and eventually studied meteorology. More waves are on the way, and really for those of you that like to do forecasting with us, you see that major temperature contrast. Chicago's only 46, Little Rock is 58. We are one of the hottest locations in the nation, and the problem, folks, is that boundary is not going to move at least through Saturday. So at the present time, tornado watches up from northeastern Texas through Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee. We'll zoom in a little bit on the tornado watch. There you see it. There's already severe thunderstorms breaking out. We expect soon there'll be tornadoes. Flash flood warnings continue. In some areas, flash flood warnings have been off and on for the last 12 to 24 hours. You can see the radar showing the front. And Ross, the way I've been trying to describe it is the front to me is it's almost like maybe a seawall, and this warm water is trying to continue to be pumped northward to that seawall, and that water is being forced upward, and that rising motion is going to hit about the same place for days and days, right?
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to explain it, Tim. I mean, yeah, that boundary is just kind of set up there over the next several days and into the weekend. And yeah, you're right. All of that very deep Gulf Coast moisture just continues to get funneled up and smashes right up against that boundary and that seawall, so to speak. And yeah, that rising motion continues to allow these showers and rain and thunderstorms to develop here. And honestly, I would say this is perhaps the longest stretch of significant severe weather that I've seen over this I don't know, not the exact same part of the country, but over a pretty similar area here for 3 or 4 days. I mean, we had the level 5 out of 5 high risk yesterday. They have an enhanced risk today. Tomorrow, the Arklatex has a moderate risk. I believe Saturday they have another enhanced risk. And then Sunday, that slight risk starts to head towards the Florida Panhandle and southwestern Georgia. I mean, that is a lot of energy and a lot of potential severe weather across kind of the Mississippi River Valley, the Arklatex, and then eventually the deep south here, you know, over the next 3 to 4 days. I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel like that is quite the long stretch of consistent, not only severe weather chances, but also just, you know, rain totals. I heard you mention, you know, the generational flood potential in this. You know, some folks picking up over 10 to 15 inches of rain potentially, Tim. So
yeah, I'm with you.
Significant event for sure.
Right, and each individual day would be significant in itself, but I'm with you. It's going to be the accumulative event and the length of it.
Yeah, because if you think about it, the folks who got tornadoes yesterday, they have another severe weather threat today, and they're going to have another severe weather threat tomorrow. I mean, it's just, you know, almost relentless and never ending for some of these communities who are, you know, getting kind of ravaged by some of these strong to severe storm systems.
Well, and that would be enough, right? But then on top of that, looks like in many areas there are going to be waves and waves of flash flood warnings, and then that's going to eventually, those creek floods will eventually get into the larger rivers. It's going to be really interesting to see as all of that then comes down the Ohio, the Mississippi, and then what happens around the Mississippi and in the Memphis area. I got another question about the severe event. As a reminder, folks, for those of you who don't remember, Ross spent some time in Oklahoma City. Now, of course, is the Severe Storms Forecast Office, that center. That's kind of the hurricane center of severe storms. But just yesterday, 33 tornadoes, over 400 wind damage reports, over 200 hail damage reports. I mean, just one day, I mean, to me, that stands out. And we may see days like this through Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I think that shows that the Storm Prediction Center's forecast, and they had the moderate and high risk out, it definitely verified, right? I mean, not only a severe weather outbreak with the amount of wind damage reports that came in, but a tornado outbreak. I mean, we saw some video from some storm chasers out there, and then the damage videos, the aftermath of those storms late last night. And these neighborhoods and areas and communities got hit very, very hard by some of these storms. Obviously, the National Weather Service will have to send some of their surveyors out to actually give the official rating on some of these, but certainly, some of the images that we looked at while I was back in, the station with you, Tim, certainly could be an EF3, EF4 potentially, and at least one or two of those cases. And yeah, I think really the scariest thing is just knowing that some of these places that, if you lost your home and you're living in a shelter now, you have more severe weather on the way.
There's more to go. Yeah,
you don't even have the necessarily opportunity to go out and start to clean up the debris or the damage, because you have another storm risk on the way, either today or tomorrow, or over the next several days into the weekend. So
okay, I'll tell you what we're going to get.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because we're going to move this down to what's going to happen locally, because within a few minutes we also want to get to Lou Turner, because as you know, Ross, our own meteorologist Robert Speta is down in South Texas, and in South Texas he's at a hurricane conference, and a new outlook just came out from Colorado State, which we're going to get to. So let's talk about us this evening. We've talked about this warm, at least the breeze, the gusty wind will help us with the heat. Tomorrow, again, over 90 for anybody west of Highway 17, officially within a degree of the record. Yes, cooler out around the beaches, but even there, they're going to see temperatures in the lower 80s. By the way, folks, I did some research this morning, and although the waves may not look big, there is a strong current from south to north. In addition to that, a pretty high rip current risk. That's not me saying don't go, but if you're going to head out there with your families, go to the lifeguards. They will help you out. Saturday, I think sometimes in April this term is overused, but it's real. June-like. When we start off June, typically we have low temperatures near 70, high temperatures near 90. That's where we're going to be on Saturday. Sunday, for those of you that like the warm, hot weather, one more day of record heat. And although there will be some showers developing on Sunday, we may think most of it will be late, but the front is on the way, folks. In fact, for you folks up around Waycross, probably the Waycross area, we'll be watching for you, because it could be Sunday night, Monday morning. Some strong storms out to the west will be then working toward your area. Monday, cooler air arrives, but notice the temperatures. Early in the morning, 70. So it's going to start off warm. Late in the day, the rain will increase and the temperatures will begin to drop. Ross, I'm going to pop up the 7-day outlook. You can comment on this as well, because Ross, folks, will be at the fair through this evening. We're going to hear more from him, but then he'll also be here at 11 o'clock tonight, checking out the latest as far as the severe weather is concerned. But let's talk a little bit about Monday, Ross. So we think the front will weaken. What do you think, though, the chances are of maybe a severe thunderstorm warning or two, depending on the timing for us on Monday?
So I think perhaps early in the period, the Swanee Valley and the Okefenokee might be able to see a strong storm. Then I think there will be a lull, mainly just kind of rain through late morning and then into the early afternoon. But I do think perhaps by 2, 3, or 4 o'clock, as the whole front, starts to move a little bit further to the south and southeast, you get a little bit of some extra heating. We might be able to see a few stronger storms, perhaps on our southern counties, St. John's, Putnam County, perhaps. Is that kind of what you're thinking, or do you have other views on it, Tim?
No. I'm with you. I think as we see so often, every front's different, but this is going to be a major front with a lot of severe weather. And our big question, I think we're going to have two big questions. One will be, how much will it weaken before it makes it to the first coast? And whatever strength it is, what time of the day will it be, and how much local heat will be added to whatever energy is still with the front.
I will say how much cloud cover we had could certainly dictate a lot of that too, Tim.
Exactly. So, folks, we will
Just
be
with the
updating
heating,
this,
yeah.
you bet,
So-
as we get toward Monday. Okay, Ross, go do some research. We're going to hear from Lou Turner right now. Of course, folks, although things are relatively quiet, they are quiet in the tropics. The oceans continue to be as warm as we've ever seen them. That just means a lot of potential energy. Robert Speta is at the hurricane conference, but he spent some time talking to Lou. Lou has grabbed the information, especially new information from Colorado State University, and has put it all together for you. So we're going to take a break, and then we're going to be right back, and Lou's going to talk at least potentially what may happen in the upcoming hurricane season of 2025.